Dr. Carla Barnett sworn in as Minister of State. High-ranking police officer denies allegations made by William Danny Mason. Power almost completely restored across the country. And in regional news, Caribbean Development Bank to launch its new education and training policy and strategy later this year. Love FM's evening news report brought to you by Belize Bank, Caribbean Tires.
Coming live from our studios in Belize City, this is the evening news on Love Television for Tuesday, August 9th. We get you started with a look at the stories making the headlines today. Dr. Carla Barnett sworn in as Minister of State. High-ranking police officer denies allegations made by William Danny Mason. Power almost completely restored across the country. BL officials provide update, and Taiwan and the European Union make donation to hurricane relief efforts. Senator Dr. Carla Barnett has been sworn in as a Minister of State by Governor General His Excellency Sir Colville Young. Senator Barnett will now assume responsibility as Minister of State in the Ministry of Finance, for which Prime Minister Dean Barrow holds overall responsibility. Dr. Barnett is quoted as saying, "I've been asked to perform in a position that is really important at this time, and my hope, my expectation, my commitment is to do the best that I can, along with the full team and cabinet, to ensure that we do what needs to be done at this time." The swearing-in took place at Belize House in Belmopan. As we have been reporting over the last few days, the Belize Electricity Limited has deployed dozens of linesmen and technicians to restore power to the various affected areas by Hurricane Earl, which made landfall in the late hours of August 3rd, 2016. This morning, the Chief Executive Officer for BEL, Jeffrey Locke, was on the morning show, who assured the public that the restoration efforts have been ongoing.
We are here to give an update to the public as to our recovery effort. We recognize that the customers, our public, has taken a beating over the last week or so, and we are here to assure them that we are doing the most we can to make sure they get light as quick as possible. And Mr. Moreno in particular will give you a background as to how things are going. The good news is that we are 99%. 99% of our customers are now connected. The bad news to that still means like about 700 or so customers that we need to attend to. And we want them to know that we are very mindful of that, and we'll get to them in quick time.
Also on the show was Senior Manager Moreno, who spoke of the 1% of the country that remains without electricity. He also spoke of challenges encountered during the restoration process.
Connect the Belize River Valley. We also connected all the way to Masca and also Cuckoo. So those were the most remote areas that were not connected earlier. We still do have little veins, little spurs here and there with a few transformers that feed a few customers. That we will be addressing today, right? So if everything would... Also on the Western Highway we have some areas that are still out, but we should be addressing those today. One of the challenges that we have experienced this time is that unlike previous times where the problems were the effects of hurricane were localized to specific areas, this system that affected those was pretty wide, and it affected the entire country with the exception of Punta Gorda. So we didn't have the luxury of other times where we get fresh crews coming from everywhere to assist that particular area. In this case, everybody had to tend to their own problems first. So for the first 2 days, they were very busy taking care of their own customers. And then by the time we got those crews here, they were already worked up. And so, but it has been very good. These guys have been very diligent. I have to commend them for that. They have done a fantastic job. Some of them have been working 16, 17 hours a day and without no complaints. I guess the biggest reward that they get is the appreciation from the customers, right?
Ashton Richards is one of the linesmen who is working those long hours every day to get the houses around the country powered up.
Right now, some of them are unhappy because they say, but we are used to electricity already, but we can't bathe. We can't sleep. You understand? But we try to tell them that just take your time, we're coming to you. Right? Because we try bringing back the main portion of the lines, and transformers are out, but they're easy to fix. They're not a quick fix. But we don't want a quick fix at this time. We want everything good, so we tell them just take time and everything will be okay.
CEO Locke says there were about 40 linesmen along with several contractors, including some from Guatemala, who were deployed to have electricity restored. The European Union has extended its hand of friendship and assistance to Belize in the aftermath of Hurricane Earl. Today it was announced that the organization is making about 130,000 Belize dollars available for the rebuilding efforts. The money is referred to as humanitarian funding to assist the most affected populations. The European Union noted that the funding will support the Belize Red Cross in delivering much needed relief, including access to safe water, sanitation services, and hygiene promotion, reduction of risks for vector and waterborne diseases, non-food items, and livelihood asset replacements for the most vulnerable families. According to an online article, the EU noted that the funding is part of its overall contribution to the Disaster Relief Emergency Fund of the International Federation of Red Cross and Red Crescent Societies. The government of Taipei has reached out to Belize government as the works to rebuild and repair continue after Hurricane Earl caused hundreds of thousands of dollars in damages to homes, structures, agriculture, and infrastructure. The $100,000 donation was given to aid in the relief efforts in the affected areas to help residents re-establish some normalcy. The Embassy of the Republic of China on Taiwan, headed by Ambassador Benjamin Ho, extended sympathy and regards to Belize from its head office, whilst committing to aid in the aftermath of Earl. According to an article in Focus Taiwan publication, Prime Minister Dean Barrow has asked the international community to help his country in its reconstruction efforts. Over the last few days, we have been showing images of the damage left behind by Hurricane Earl. Another structure that felt the effects of Earl's wrath was the wooden bridge between Santa Elena and San Ignacio. As the images show, the bridge is no more as the force of Hurricane Earl broke the bridge in two. William Donnie Mason remains at the Belize Central Prison on remand after the head of Pastor Lewin Lucas was found in the pan of his pickup truck on Friday, July 15th. Over 1 week ago, he reached out to the Amandala newspaper, and with that, reporter Micah Goodin returned his phone call to the Belize Central Prison. Here is a portion of the 6-minute conversation that was had on Monday, August 1st, 2016, just after 3 o'clock in the afternoon.
Never met Mr. Broster, and Mr. Broster is the one that actually sends messages to Happyville Police Station, Inspector Chan, to get me to donate motorcycles and homes and stuff for them. I've donated a lot of stuff.
Can you speak to us about some of those donations?
I can't say on the phone.
Okay, can't tell the phone.
But
okay.
I've certainly never met Mr. Broster.
Okay, so
I don't even know what he looks like. Look, let me say something to you. Mr. Blackett came out publicly and said to everyone that half the police force is on my payroll. Okay? He publicly said that. The thing about it is these guys are framing me and trying to frame me, and I have a lot of information about them.
Can you share some of those information?
I can't give you details. You see, what happens is that the people of Belize need to know. They need answers.
Okay.
And for the citizens of Belize, I am prepared to make sure that they know the answers.
Okay.
You know, and this corruption, crime against humanity, all these other things need to stop.
Okay.
You see?
Okay.
There are people who are starving in this country, who are living below the poverty line. I'm the only guy I know right now that's hiring people, paying people, helping people, always delivering when I need to deliver. And no one of these police can ever say that I've ever said no to them, including ministers.
Hmm.
You understand? Every one of them will tell you my character speaks for itself.
Yeah. I saw Papa Mena said that you gave him $10,000 into the by-election.
That's not a correct number.
What's the correct number then?
I can't tell you that right now. But again, like I said, there's a lot I want to say.
Okay.
There's a lot I want to say, and there's a lot of details I want to give.
Okay.
And the people, police need to stand firm and protest against this corruption. And by them doing that and not fly by night, they have to stay firm. They can't go today and protest, and tomorrow they're not protesting.
But
have to continue this protest.
But then, why should believers trust you after they found this head in your vehicle? Doesn't that put you in a bad position after they allegedly found this?
No. That's not true. I have no knowledge of that.
Okay.
I have no knowledge of that.
So it wasn't in your vehicle?
What's that?
It wasn't in your vehicle?
Apparently, it was in the back of the vehicle.
Okay.
Yeah. Public knowledge.
Okay.
The guy's saying time's up here.
As you heard in the telephone conversation between Amandala's reporter Micah Gooding and William Mason, Frank Papa Mena got more than $10,000. He confirmed not knowing ACP Edward Broster, but did say that Broster solicited funds from him through ASP Rochelle Chan of Hattieville Police Station. He also told Gooding that Deputy Commissioner of Police Russell Blackett has publicly admitted that half the police department is on Mason's payroll. According to Mason, he is being framed and he maintains his innocence in the death of Pastor Lucas. Mason remains on remand as he has been charged with murder among other charges. Today's CP Broster held a press conference to deny the allegations made by Mason.
The reporter of this story want to associate myself with Danny Mason. This is the closest I ever been to Danny Mason today. Danny Mason and I had no informal nor formal communication. I had no messenger as it pertained to any donation, what have you. Like I said, I think it was a week ago when I briefed the media. 3 weeks prior to the death of the pastor, I received a message through Mr. Chan from Danny Mason wanting to meet. And I refused to meet with him. And I never met with him. And I have never solicited any donations whatsoever from Mr. Mason through any individual. The first time I got to know of Mr. Mason was when one of my great friend, and I'll call his name now, Richard Evans, who is living in Los Angeles, brought Danny Mason to my attention. This was in 2014 when he met Danny Mason at Baker's Ranch, where Danny Mason, according to Mr. Evans, was telling him some real dreams and pie in the sky. And when we did our research, we found out that Danny Mason swindled and ripped off some Canadians and other people, hence the reason why he ran from where he was living. And from since then, I had no interest, no intentions of meeting or soliciting any donation from Mr. Mason.
Broster admitted to having withheld information he had unearthed about William Mason pertaining to the scams he was allegedly involved in. Broster said he did not pass any specific information to ASP Chan.
At that time, when Mr. Chan told me that Mr. Mason wanted to do some donation of motorcycle and so forth, I just told Mr. Chan, I am not interested, and I am not interested in meeting Mr. Mason. I received the report regarding Danny Mason And the information I received from my friend from Los Angeles, Richard Evans, I sent a team of police officers to Baker's Ranch to investigate the matter and dealt with Mr. Mason. Specific information was not passed to Mr. Chan. I did not, at this time, at that time, I did not see it
important
fit to had told Mr. Chan the entire story that I had back then.
Melissa Ferguson is a person of interest as she has been hiding for the last 18 days from the local authorities. Yesterday, when she finally made a public appearance and went to the Belmopan police station in the company of her attorney Richard Dickey Bradley, it was widely expected that she would be charged. That expectation arose out of several statements made by the authorities, including one that noted that she was seen in surveillance footage of the kidnapping. What was interesting from the get-go was that the investigators had reportedly gotten that footage from July 16, and yet a notice of her being wanted was not issued until July 21st, 5 days after having the footage. By that time, Ferguson was nowhere to be found. The Minister of National Security, John Saldivar, found no discrepancies with that and expressed full confidence in the police department when we interviewed him during a military event in the Cayo district last month. In this interview, it is also interesting to note that while Saldivar said that the international authorities, specifically Interpol, was in the process of being notified of Ferguson's status, the Canadian woman still managed to walk in and out of the police station yesterday, a free woman.
As the head of national security, didn't it raise any red flag for you when when the police just started looking for his spouse / business partner, girlfriend, 5 days after this entire incident began unfolding?
I guess the police will have their reasons, and I'll have to depend on their expertise in that area. Why 5 days after that is when they decided. They know what they're doing, and I trust in what they're doing.
You know if the police already has put out that notice or sent out the information to Interpol on Ferguson?
I believe they have. If we are searching for somebody, that's one of the first things that the police does, put out a search internationally.
On July 29, Love News spoke with the Chief Executive Officer in the Ministry of National Security, retired Colonel George Lovell, who spoke of the video footage, confirming that the woman was wanted.
In terms of the wife, the police, after they have viewed a tape, which was some days after, realized that there may be reasons for them to want to have the wife in for questioning. Those reasons, I don't know if the Commissioner of Police had made public, but it was probably after that they then sent out this bulletin for her to be located and to brought in.
Ferguson's attorney Richard Bradley told Love News that there is no presence of his client on the surveillance footage, which is what she told the officers yesterday in Belmopan.
Everybody has an opinion on this matter. I don't know if you've spoken to the investigator, because they are not going to share anything with the media until they are very clear. I was not there. I was not on the hill, neither for a lighthouse or any other kind of drinking. But my instructions from Ms. Ferguson is there is no way any surveillance camera can show her committing a crime, being present during the course of any crime, or can link her with any criminal activity. She has told the police, and I'm going to share this with you, that Pastor Lucas did go to Mr. Mason's house in the afternoon of that fateful Friday. And she did not, and there are many workers there, see anything that would say he was handcuffed, he was tied up, he was gagged, he was anything of that nature. So she was in the house, and she had seen or not been present during whether any kidnapping took place at that time. We all know, and the police know, that Pastor Lucas was taken from that house or went from that house and gone somewhere else where he lost his head. That matter, Ms. Ferguson absolutely knows nothing about that matter or about him being kidnapped. He was there, the maid took water for him, there was a conversation with other persons. He had frequented that house, he had been going there on a regular basis, so that would be nothing unusual that he had turned up in the afternoon of the 15th of February. So if that information is that that was on camera, she would have been arrested the moment we walked in here, because there would have been audio and visual cameras to confirm what you were told.
Prime Minister Dean Barrow made statements on the issue in late July when he spoke of the entire Mason situation being fluid. The Prime Minister also says he is yet to find any evidence that would show Saliva's guilt of corruption or collusion with Mason.
The situation continues to be fluid, continues to evolve. As of now, that's where it stops. The waiting game is being played by me, by cabinet colleagues, by all of us. I can't tell you how it will all end up, but as of now, at this particular juncture, whatever continuing public opinion blows, this causes me to have to absorb. I insist the threshold to be able to say that the minister is guilty of corruption or criminal collusion has not been reached.
Ferguson reportedly planned to hand in herself to the police last week, but due to the hurricane, the plan was delayed until yesterday. It has been 6 days since the passage of Hurricane Earl in Belize, which started as a tropical wave on the African coast and made its way to the Caribbean Sea. During its passage to Belize, the Dominican Republic was affected with heavy rains, where 6 deaths have been attributed to it. After passing through Belize on August 4, it weakened to a tropical depression over the Yucatan, but it upgraded to a tropical storm when it went over the Bay of Campeche, and on August 6th it hit Mexico again, just south of Veracruz. According to the National Aeronautics and Space Administration, NASA, they have an integrated multi-satellite retrieval system that was used to estimate the amount of rain that fell from the period August 2nd through to the 8th. According to the Science Codex website, the analysis created at NASA's Goddard Space Flight Center in Greenbelt, Maryland, showed rainfall over the period from when Earl became a tropical storm until Earl's remnants interacted with an area of disturbed weather along the Pacific coast. Some areas in extreme southern Mexico received up to 43.3 inches of rain. The system analysis showed that extreme amount of rain that was dropped by Earl over Belize, Guatemala, eastern Mexico, and Mexico's Pacific coast. According to the official Twitter account of Luis Puente, Mexico's National Civil Protection Coordinator, at least 40 people were reported killed by landslides in the Mexican states of Puebla and Veracruz. The remnants of Earl interacted with an area of disturbed weather along the Pacific coast of Mexico and aided in the formation of a tropical depression that became Tropical Storm Javier on August the 7th. Orange Walk resident Hernan Urbina will be traveling to the U.S. in a few weeks to be a part of the 2016 Young Leaders of the Americas initiative. The U.S. Embassy in Belmopan had announced in May of this year that they were accepting applications from persons between the ages of 21 and 35 for the program. The program is sponsored by the U.S. Department of State, and they were seeking 250 young entrepreneurs from Latin America and the Caribbean to go to the U.S. for business and social entrepreneurship training in October and November 2016. Urbina was selected from among 4,000 applications from 36 countries. The program is hosted by U.S. President Barack Obama. A businessman from the Toledo district was injured during a robbery. As correspondent Paul Mahong reports, he is not seeking police action.
Police in Punta Gorda have detained suspects in connection with the incident, but it appears that the criminal matter will not proceed any further, as explained by Officer in Command Toledo Police Formation, Assistant Superintendent of Police Clement Cacho.
On Saturday, August 6 at 12:05 p.m., police received information of a robbery at New Light store located in the dump area Toledo district, which is located on the Southern Highway. As a result, police visited the scene. However, the victim, Mr. Naveen Chandra, 28 years, Indian businessman of said dump area, was already transported to the Punta Gorda Town Hospital as he has sustained a large contusion to the top of his head and a large contusion behind his head and abrasions on the lower part of his neck. Initial investigation reveals that while Chandra was inside his store at about 11:50 a.m., two Maya descent male persons entered the establishment. One who had a machete with him and another who had 3 empty soft drink pint bottles. The male person with the pint bottles placed them in an empty crate and went to the cooler to obtain 3 soft drinks. He then approached Mr. Chandra as if though he was going to pay for the soft drinks, and instead he took one of the soft drinks and hit Chandra over his head. Immediately after he has done that, his accomplice with the machete inflicted chop wound to Mr. Chandra. Mr. Chandra in turn jumped up and ran to a nearby neighbor for assistance, and that neighbor immediately ferried Mr. Chandra to the Punta Gorda Town Hospital. Mr. Chandra cannot say how much money was taken from his cash register, as he left both assailants inside his establishment. However, police have detained several persons for this incident, but unfortunately, Mr. Chandra requests no police assistance. He does not want to pursue the matter in the courts. He states because of his religious belief. There's only so much that the Punta Gorda police can do, and I urge all members of the public, whether you are wronged by other members of the public or you are wronged by members of my department, I urge you to come forth and make a report to me so we can deal with the matter.
ASP Clement Cacho. At the beginning of this year, Naveen Chandran opened a new light store for business at its location approximately 13 miles out Punta Gorda on the Southern Highway. Chandran, who was hospitalized in Punta Gorda, was released yesterday. Reporting for Love News, Paul Mahong, Punta Gorda.
We have an update in our earlier newscast. We mentioned that Melissa Ferguson went to the Belmopan police station, but contrary to our report, she has not been released. We spoke with her attorney, Richard Dickey Bradley, who spoke of her detention.
At this particular moment, as you are speaking to me, Ms. Mason is still in detention. It's a form of kidnapping, except that the police are authorized to kidnap people against their will. She volunteered to go to the police station to assist, to answer any questions, to give a statement if you want any, and lo and behold, 24 hours has passed and she's still somewhere in a little dungeon in the Belmopan police station. So I'm glad you brought up her state of mind. You're looking at a situation where a woman has been since the 15th day of July, almost 1 month ago, living in the most stressful of conditions, having no friends she can confide with, having no family members. She is able to speak to her family in Canada. They are terribly worried about what they see on the Belize news and on, I imagine, probably Facebook as well and so on. You could imagine her situation. All she can say to her family, listen, I'm not guilty of committing any kind of crime in the country. You didn't raise a daughter to be like that. But I myself don't know what happened. I have not had a chance to speak to my husband to hear his side of the story. I know he's not that kind of person. I know he's not so stupid. Something probably went extremely wrong.
And Bradley spoke with us about the process of the interview that Melissa Ferguson underwent yesterday while she provided information at the Belmopan police station.
We spoke with the highest ranking officer, who is Assistant Commissioner of Police Joseph Myvitt, who is in fact presently the officer in charge of all serious crime investigation in our country. And he made arrangements. We met with the investigating officers whom Officer Myvitt had directed and instructed to be the ones to interview, interrogate, and if necessary take statements from Ms. Ferguson. I was present throughout. It was a very, very long interrogation and interview. There was little need for myself as an attorney to interrupt or to interject, because she wanted to be forthcoming. There are things I would have said to her, don't say, but it's not anything that incriminates her or anybody else.
Bradley spoke also about the eventuality of Melissa Ferguson being charged with any of the crimes of either murder and kidnapping or abetment.
From the information the police has shared with you on her yesterday and today, is there any possibility that she can be charged?
If Miss Ferguson is charged, if she was ever to be charged for murder, which means that she'll be locked up in prison for a long time before she gets a trial. If she's ever charged for a murder and there is no evidence when the appropriate time comes, there will be a very, very large lawsuit against the authorities. And the same thing applies to the serious offense of kidnapping. Kidnapping, you can go to jail for life imprisonment. The minimum for kidnapping another human being is 10 years. If she's charged for kidnapping, and when the appropriate time comes, there is no evidence, there is going to be a very serious lawsuit in relation to the massive damage to her reputation, the breach of her constitutional rights to be free, the false imprisonment, the wrong arrest, the whole thing would be taken up.
Well, while some officers are interviewing suspects, others are of course cleaning up areas affected by Hurricane Earl. Correspondent Fem Cruz tells us more.
The community spirit of being there and helping each other in a time of need continue to bring restoration to those that are affected by the devastation of Hurricane Earl. Inspector Aaron Gambauer spoke of the work that they are doing and continue to do for the people of Cayo South.
Thanks my officers them for special patrolling, 35 SPU personnel. I really want to tell them thanks for the hard work they do today in the Hattieville area, and they pass the church, the house, and the street, the big trees over there across the road. And I really want to big up them, hats off for them, because in the next 2 hours they'll be deployed on the border, and we continue to work with the community for safer Belize. The next place we want to target is I observe the Guanacaste Park is really out of hand, and also the GG field, you know. So once we get a big truck, we got the personnel to do the work, and we are willing. My number is 610-0058. Anytime call me. I'm ready to deploy my guys to that area.
Love News spoke to 2 of those hard-working officers who explain the importance of giving back to the community.
I want to be thankful and grateful to my police officers who assisted in this cleanup campaign. As police officers, we are bound to work in hand with the community and in this time of disaster. At this time we are assisting in the Hattieville area, then we will be in some other areas. I'm grateful and thankful to the Commissioner of Police and my OC of Special Patrolling to facilitate us in an effort to assist in this cleaning up campaign.
And I feel very good. Normally when the community would see us is to restore law and order, but we are here in another manner. We are here to assist the community. I know that after the hurricane had passed, members of the community are a bit occupied with their personal damages of their homes and property. So my OC, Inspector Gamboa, sat with us and decided that we would come out and give a helping hand to the villagers of Rowan Creek. The community needs to understand and realize that we are not only here to deal with the criminal part of the law. We are here also to help with whatever needs necessary, and they can call upon us whenever they need us. They have my OC number, 610-0058. Don't be afraid to call him, and I'm sure that he will assist.
This is Brother Fem Cruz reporting from the beautiful village of Rowan Creek for Love FM.
Seaweed mariculture is an avenue being explored as a way for fishers to increase their income. Recently, at the 4th International Marine Conservation Congress, held in St. John's, Newfoundland, Canada, Julianne Robinson from the Nature Conservancy explained how Belize's waters can offer more than just fishing income to support those living in coastal communities. A report on this Congress meeting spoke of how fishing has long formed part of the Belize culture, providing an important source of food and income for its many coastal communities. The article reads, and we quote, "Like many coastal nations, Belize's fisheries have seen declines in fisheries from overexploitation and destructive fishing practices. Increasing coastal development and climate change impacts on the ocean adds to the pressures on the low-tech, small-scale fisheries that dominate Belize's coastal communities. Income diversification is increasingly becoming a necessity." End of quote. Love News understands that Robinson was in country and had worked with the Placencia Fishermen Cooperative, and together they had developed and tested pilot mariculture farms where they focus on the red seaweed. The article goes on to read, "While seaweed as a food item forms part of the mariculture business, including in the locally consumed seaweed shakes, the Placencia seaweed farmers are looking to expand their market with value-added products such as seaweed-based soaps or seaweed-based thickeners for cooking. Local demand for the seaweed and seaweed-based products is high and still growing, though, as Robinson was keen to point out, that demand isn't just restricted to the local market. Globally, demand for seaweed is projected to increase at a rate of around 10% per annum, offering the potential for significant economic growth for those wishing to farm seaweed. The challenge for the Placencia seaweed farmers is to scale up its production to meet demand and break into the export market. The Belize's Placencia Fishermen Cooperative development of mariculture has also had a number of other benefits. Many of the seaweed farms provide work for women, helping to improve social equity in coastal communities. The second annual International Jazz Festival will begin this Friday in Belize City. Carlos Perote, music director for the Jazz International Festival, shares what the festival is all about.
The Jazz Festival is about make the Belizean know more about jazz. And this Jazz Festival is the second edition of the Jazz Festival. And we try to make Belizean artists interact with international artists. And with this year we have 7 international group and more or less 15 local group. So in total we will have a record of 356 artists coming to this Jazz Festival. The Jazz Festival also have the priority for teach. So we will have different workshops going on to the festival.
Perote spoke about the exposure that the festival affords our country.
What does it mean for Belize as a country to offer a platform for musicians to come here, convene here for this jazz festival?
Yeah, it's a hard task because first they don't know what is Belize. So we have to teach them what we have Belize. So second thing is convince them this is a small festival. We just have 2 years, so we try to develop that festival. Because in terms of economic while we not a rich festival yet. So we have to convince them for understand the position we have now. And the next thing is what they can bring to we learn from them. That's the more important thing. This year we have 4 countries. We have US, it bring 3 groups. We have Cuba, it bring 2 groups. We have Mexican group, and we have a person for Argentina.
The Jazz Festival has incorporated a week of workshops. Perote speaks about the upcoming workshops, emphasizing that they will be free.
Well, the workshop is free. It's catering for anybody. Everybody can come. They will be here in the Bliss Center, preferably in the morning, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday. No, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. 4 days of workshop. We'll start 9 o'clock. This workshop is about percussion instrument, brass, winds, and piano. 4 different types of workshop. It's more about jazz and classical music.
You can visit the website Belize Jazz Festival or Facebook page for more information on the workshops. Today, the police from Eastern Division South took an approach to integrating with the community in a positive manner. Police organized a food delivery activity for the people at hurricane shelters in Southside Belize called Meet and Feed. Assistant Commissioner of Police Chester Williams spoke about the event.
Decided to do Meet and Feed today for the simple fact that on Wednesdays we normally do meet and greet, but because we had just gone through a storm and many people have been displaced as a result of the storm. Many people have lost their homes or their homes are damaged, and so they are here in shelters are waiting to see what will be the next move. So the fact that they're here in the shelters, we know that cooking is somewhat difficult or next to impossible. We decided to partner with the 2 gentlemen that you saw earlier in coming to the shelter and do Meet and Feed, where we took time out of the offices and these young men took time from within the area and we came out here to feed the persons who are here in the shelter.
Williams also stated that this kind of interaction with the community is not only rewarding, but also serves to bridge the gap between police and the community in a positive manner.
Well, we have 2 shelters that are open. We have where we are St. Luke's Methodist and we have St. John's Vianney. I think we have a total of 39 people here and 25 at St. John's Vianney, and we provided for both shelters. And we have the guys speaking to them. The guys were the ones who hand out the food to them, and we do what we can to give them some words of encouragement. We know that they're in a difficult situation right now because they're still wondering where they will go because their homes have been destroyed, and it is hard to see them here, and we are just hoping and praying for the best where they are concerned, that they'll be able to find a home when they leave this place.
A 30-year-old security guard who allegedly broke the 2 glass doors at the entrance to the KHMH by kicking them was charged with damage to property when he appeared today before Senior Magistrate Sharon Fraser. The guard, Julian Barrow, a resident of Magazine Road, pled not guilty to the charge. He was released on a bail of $1,000 and his case was adjourned until August 28. The incident occurred on August 6th. According to the allegation, Barrow became angry and kicked the doors because his stepson, who had received some injuries, was not getting medical attention fast enough. The doors are valued at $855. Well, our thought conditioner for today is from Shannon L. Alder. It reads, and we quote, "There comes a time in your life when you have to choose to turn the page, write another book, or simply close it." This has been the Evening News on Love Television. We invite you to log on to our website at www.lovefm.com for transcripts of our news stories. Thank you for watching. I am Ernesto Vasquez.